State there, and then they don't because they screw up somewhere.
Well, I mean, it's think about it. It's tough to get into the Final Four. I mean, I know there are a few teams like Cincinnati went a couple of years ago. They got in there, and Washington before this year they were in there. But it's always been usually the same participants because they're good. That's why they're there. They're good. And I think now with the 12-team playoff coming in, it's like you could be above average and get in, and I'm not a fan of that. I just and then we'll bitch and moan and like, hey, let's get 24 now because the 25 and 26 are left out. There's no end in sight, and I just wish we'd go back to the time where you get up on New Year's Day and there's like 5 bowl games, and we debated who was number one for the next 6-7 months, and I don't know. That makes me an old man. I understand that. I mean, we remember the bowl days back in the day. I mean, you get up, you had the Cotton Bowl in the morning, then the Fiesta Bowl, then the Sugar and Orange went head-to-head at night. The Rose Bowl was in the afternoon, and you couldn't put anything against the Rose Bowl. They had some clause in their contract. You couldn't go against the Rose Bowl. And then at night it was the Orange and the Sugar Bowl, and you go back and forth to see who was playing. And then January 1st was all over, and we moved on.
Yeah. The Cotton Bowl's tonight.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Welcome to the desert. Is that the tweet that Ohio State put out? Did you see that?
Yeah, probably.
No, they arrived in Dallas, and Ohio State's like, welcome to the desert. We're ready. And people are like, oh, didn't know Dallas was the desert.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
That's new. Yeah, you can hear that on 94.9 The Fan after Vandy women's basketball. Liberty Bowl today as well, Memphis and Iowa State. So it's the big bowls are picking up, and obviously Music City, the TransPerfect Music City Bowl tomorrow with Auburn and Maryland.
Has the Liberty Bowl, has the sun ever shone on the Liberty Bowl when they play? That game is always either pouring down rain or miserably cold. I remember Tennessee played Minnesota there in 1986 in the Liberty Bowl. They played against Minnesota, and they won, and it was so cold that night down in Memphis. But, hey, you know what? As we say, Chase, there are no bad bowl games.
That's right. 615-737-1025. That's our phone and text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Clint in Clarksville was answering the question and got hit with the autocorrect, and it's like it made me laugh. He was trying to say Penn State, and autocorrect said penetrate. So,
okay.
Always.
What station are you listening to there, Clint? Good loud.
He also says way too many bowl games, but
I don't think so. I think there's perfect bowl games like it is. Give me more. I mean, why not?
I mean, there are too many, but we're watching them. People are betting on them. I mean, there's a reason why there are as many as there are. But I look at it now, this week is the week that I start caring because, you have like the Liberty Bowl and the Music City Bowl and the Cotton Bowl, and then obviously we get into the Peach and all those things. But, like last night, yesterday as a whole was entertaining. Like it was something to do the week between Christmas and New Year's. There was an NFL game last night that I don't think anybody cared about.
My God, Flacco, man, we'll
Joe
talk about that
Flacco for
later
MVP. They just showed a stat on ESPN. He's got 13 touchdown passes during his time with the Browns. He has more touchdown passes than the Titans combined.
Do you know why he has more touchdown passes? And I'm telling you, and I saw that stat too, because for some reason the teams below him, and the Titans are included, nobody takes deep shots down the field anymore. Flacco, like one every 3 or 4 passes, he's throwing 30, 40 yards down the field and letting receivers make the play. I'd love to play if I'm a receiver, play for Joe Flacco. Throw the ball down the field. None of this dump off to the running back. Throw it down. That's what made Brett Favre so good, Chase. And go back next time you're going to, connect with your guys, and he did. Go back and watch the YouTube of Favre and Sterling Sharp. Shannon Sharp. No, Sterling Sharp.
Sterling Sharp.
Right. Yeah, there it is. And it was amazing. I mean, they probably 2/3 of the ball were overthrown or it dropped, but he kept attacking. And Flacco's doing that too, and I love it.
Yep, they are doing that. So, the Browns are fun. I mean, that's what they are. I had a friend text me last night that's a big Browns fan that's like, this always happens. Like they get excited and they allow themselves to feel like that something good's going to happen, and then they get their heart broken. But maybe the Flacco train is one to ride. I mean, D Mace, talked about it with us of playing with him and the talent that he has, and so who knows how cool of a story would that be, especially because there's one team they're going to have to get through in the AFC, Baltimore,
right? Yeah.
So that would be just can't write. The script writers got it right if that's what happens.
There was a poll, and I saw it was this morning or late last night about comeback player of the year, and it was Damar Hamlin and Joe Flacco at the top, and a lot of people were like, Hamlin does not deserve it, Flacco does, and I'm torn. I'm 50-50 because the guy came back he's basically dead on the field, and he's playing football again. Then you got Flacco, who was sitting at home.
Well, didn't John McClain tell us that Flacco wouldn't be eligible for comeback player of the year?
Is that – I don't know. Did he?
Yeah, because I don't think he's played enough games.
Okay, well, then Damar Hamlin. But the betting's on him. I saw a betting line on Flacco.
Maybe
to do that.
Wrong.
By the way, one of the headlines on ESPN.com cracks me up. It says, Chase adds fire to the fuel with digs at the Chiefs. Now, why are you upset with the Chiefs? That's the headline. Chase adds fire to the fuel with digs at Chiefs. Why are you upset?
Because Travis Kelce broke my heart. He stole my girl. That's what it is. I'm going to fight him.
Oh, I would love to see that.
He'd
fight.
win in 3 seconds.
We still got to do that. The one day when we have nothing going on, the prenup between.
So now.
Between Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. What's one thing she can't take of his? And I'm sure you guys are out.
The Super Bowl rings.
In Radio Land are fantastic with the creativity. And remember the day we said, hey, where did he take her on the date? And we couldn't read 2/3 of the responses. With Kelce and Taylor Swift. But yeah, okay, that's funny. It's Jamar Chase is mad at the Chiefs for some reason. I'm not reading the article. Like I do most things. I just kind of skim it.
Yeah, I understand. Coming up next, we're going to talk to Sean Henry, CEO of the Nashville Predators, joins us on Fridays, and he's informed me he's ready to have some fun with us, and that's what we know how to do, so I'm excited.
All right, got it.
We will talk to Sean coming up next. Chase and Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. Chase McCabe and Big Joe Duda. Sean Henry joins us now, the CEO of the Nashville Predators, as the Preds hit the road and head to Detroit tonight to take on the Red Wings. Sean, good morning. How are you?
You know, guys, I'm going to have to postpone this a bit. I'm reading up on Love Actually's 20th anniversary, so I got to figure out where the characters are right now. Hang on one second.
Wait, it's 20 years old?
I know, right? That's why I'm so intrigued. I get sucked into rabbit holes on this internet all day long. How are you guys?
Doing fantastic. You've kind of
Chase,
blown
don't play
me away
dumb.
now.
You know how old that movie is.
No, I don't. I feel like it was like a few years ago. That's crazy.
Chase wasn't old enough to see it in the movie theater, I don't think.
No, probably not at this point. Preds back in action, a little road trip tonight and tomorrow. But you guys are going to have a really cool watch party at the Franklin Theater in downtown Franklin. That's awesome. Such a historic venue.
You know, it really is. And, you know, we've worked with them on a few things over the years, helping raise some money, and they're just good partners. And especially this time of year, it's a fun place to go to, you know, show all the old Christmas movies, and you go there in your pajamas, dress up, walk up and down Franklin's Main Street, pop-up bars. It's one of those magical towns. You know, someone said Franklin was designed for Christmas movies, and it's true. So tonight will be fun. Hopefully we'll see you guys down there.
As 2023 comes to a close and you look back, I mean, the Predators have had a lot of pretty big, significant things happen. David Poile retires, Barry Trotz comes home, and becomes the second GM. Michelle Kennedy becomes the president. What is something that you look back on that happened in 2023 that it just instantly makes you happy and smile?
Well, I think the biggest thing is it shows our complete stability as an organization. 23 is probably the second most significant year of the franchise history. Obviously, the first being 98 or maybe 97 when we were the franchise. But, you know, the transition from David to Barry, from John Hines to Bruno, Michelle, you know, taking on even more of a role and obviously allowing me to do a little bit more too, working with Barry, just shows that, you know, it's not just that we made it. We're planning for decades to come, you know, whether it be the new lease we signed a few years ago to stay in our building for really forever, to about 4 or 5 years ago working with David on what do we need to do on the hockey operations side? What do we need to add, prepare, evolve to make sure that we're okay when he does leave, and then to find the perfect person to replace him just makes it that much more special. But also now, you know, we always talk about our history, and we talk to teams like, you know, the original 6 teams or teams that were the first, you know, 6 to expand. And we're always envious of their alumni club, of their history, of their this or that. Well, we're starting to carve out our own history. Ours is so unique compared to so many others. All of our owners are day one season ticket holders, including Bill Haslam, who's coming in as our soon-to-be chairman and majority owner, right down to, you know, the smallest minority ownership stake. And no other team has that. I don't think any other team's ever had their original coach replace their original GM, or the guy scored the first goal in team history, replacing that original, you know, coach's slot too. So it's one of those really significant years for us, I think.
We are talking to the chief bottle washer at Bridgestone Arena, Sean Henry, this morning on the Chase and Big Joe show. Hey, I was looking the other night, Sean was at the game, just noticing so many kids at the game. I was curious, when you grew up in New York, did you go to a lot of games?
No, I mean, it was just out of question from a financial standpoint. And I grew up on Long Island, where I was a Ranger fan, ignorantly enough, while the Islanders winning all those Stanley Cups. So the first hockey game I actually saw, my brother moved to Hartford. He's 10 years older than me, so I was probably 12 or 13 years old. I went to a Whaler Ranger game, which was a huge treat for me, but it was probably another 5 years before I went to a game. And that's what I love about our building. You know, I wish our tickets were free, obviously. We're pretty proud of the fact that we maintain one of the lowest ticket prices in the entire league, to allow, you know, kids and families to come. Maybe it's only, you know, once or twice a year or every other year. I don't want any kid to have to wait, you know, 12, 15, 17 years to come see a game.
Oh, I totally agree with you. What about your first experience being going to Yankee Stadium? You remember that?
Yeah, you know what? I don't know how my parents did it, but, you know, we went to at least one Yankee game every year. Again, I don't know how. We used to go to a lot of Met games. Those tickets were free. You can go to any gas station and, you know, they give you 100 tickets. And I hated it. I hated everything about it. You know, still baseball, still fun. But, yeah, my dad, and Mom would take us every year. But I remember once, I guess it was my confirmation, so in 6th grade, we went as a family. So 6 kids, my 2 parents, were 8 of us. And even though the Yankees were a pretty good team back then, the stadium was 20,000 people, so it was less than half full. And I just thought you were supposed to give your ticket a $5 bill to every usher you saw, so you can go from the Bob Uecker seats, down to about 10 rows behind the dugout. And that was one of those magical days. I remember that was the most fun baseball game I've ever been to in my entire life. Because my whole family was there, which was pretty unique.
Hey, real quick, Sean, the first time I went to New York was our 8th grade trip, and it's one I'll always remember because it was like 8 or 9 months after 9/11, and we, got to see all of that. But we went to a Mets game, and they had taken the classes every year to either Yankees or Mets, and so we went to a Mets game at Shea Stadium. We're on the upper deck, and I look down and I see these 2 guys just decked out in Yankees gear. And, I'm 12 years old, but I'm like, why? If you're a Yankees fan, why are you at a Mets game? And the guy turns around and he looks at me. He goes, we get tickets and we just come yell at them and tell them how much they suck.
I'm shocked that I'm alive still, that I didn't get thrown out of every Met game I ever went to, or I didn't just get, my head kicked in, because that's what I did. I remember I went to this game 1 of the '86 World Series. People always talk about Bill Buckner's, era. Tim Tuffle had a ball go between his leg that game, and the Mets lost 1-0. And I saw the jean jacket. A guy burned a hole in the back of my jacket because I was, cheering, believe it or not, for the Red Sox so hard. But that's what Yankees fans do. You love seeing the Yankees win, but you like to see the Mets lose even more so.
It's just so easy for y'all to be a Yankees fan. I mean, I know people that live here and never watch a baseball game. Like, I'm a Yankees fan. I'm like, well, name some players on the team, and they can't. And it just drives me insane because it's so easy to be a Yankees fan.
Hold up, dude. When I was a Yankee fan, the Mets were in the World Series in '73. We were not. We didn't make playoffs in '64, before I was born. I went through some tough years. My favorite Yankee player ever, believe it or not, is Fred Stanley. And you guys don't even know who that is.
Yeah, it's Lord Stanley's dad.
You know what? That's ironic how it's come full circle for me, huh? But I hate Bucky Dent. Everyone's supposed to love him, I know, as a Yankee fan. But he replaced my hero, Fred Stanley, at shortstop. So I go back, man. I was there when the Yankees were not a good team.
But you live there. I understand that. That's your city. It's just other people that I want to see more Royals fans around here and more, Marlins fans. It's teams that are just, it's fun to sometimes root for a team that, when they win, it really feels good. With the Yankees, they're always good.
It still feels good when we win, Joe. And if I did not live in New York and I lived in a city without a team, if you could choose one to love, of course it should be the Yankees. I understand why it's the Cubs and Braves for so many because of those super networks. But, Joe, if you can choose, why not choose greatness?
Well, maybe one day I choose the Preds. I love the Preds, so there you go. That's good. That works.
Yeah, that's a good choice. Sean Henry is with us, the CEO of the Nashville Predators. Obviously, you're going to be keeping up the next 2 days with the old hockey club, but what do you do on New Year's Eve?
You know what? We've always had a party at our house New Year's Eve, basically because it's a little bit safer. But this year we have a unique thing happening. My daughter, who's a sophomore in college, I'm struggling saying this word, but her boyfriend is flying down tonight, and he'll be spending New Year's with us. So I'm sure he was planning a great house party with his girlfriend's parents and neighbors for New Year's Eve. But that's what we'll be doing, playing a lot of games, eating a lot of food. We love to cook. It's just going to be an all-day, pajamas and playing games all day and all night, and it'll be a lot of fun. What about you guys? What are you doing? I assume, Chase, you're going to some crazy $500 a couple dinner and,
No, not this year.
What are you doing in Donaldson?
Donaldson, it's God's country, and so New Year's Eve we try to keep all the East Nashville people out of Donaldson. So it's a full-time job. That's what we do all the time. We don't want them to come over there. Hey, go back to your son-in-law coming to town.
Whoa! Just a fine young man who I look forward to meeting.
Let's put him up in a hotel somewhere down in Alabama somewhere, and he can. We'll pick you up. You got an hour with the family and drive him back down.
Yeah, this poor kid's coming up to meet the Fockers. I mean, the hardest person you're gonna have to meet is my youngest daughter, who will be really nice but awful to him, and of course he has some crazy parents, a few brothers and in-laws, nephews, and we'll have the whole household staring at them.
I will tell you this, I've got a daughter, you got a daughter. There's nothing, I'm being serious for a second, there's nothing better in the world than having a young man absolutely worship your daughter. And I tell you that right now. Every guy out there knows that. If you have a good son-in-law, you know how amazingly blessed you are.
We don't have one of those yet. We have a daughter-in-law, but you're so right. What I really like about this kid, and he's not listening, he's flying from Minnesota right now, but her roommate and some of her friends who met him, my wife, they describe him as just a really sweet guy who's so nice to her. And like you just said, I'm getting tears in my eyes right now. That's all you want in life, right? Someone that's good to your kids.
So what time are you coming over Sunday, Chase? Because Mr. Henry's having a party.
Well, dude, you come on over anytime. It's an open house at our house. It'll start around 1 o'clock, and it'll go till puck drop of the Winter Classic the next day. So that's at 2 o'clock. So plan on being here for about 15 hours. And seriously, the door's open to anyone that can find my house. The door's open to. And we do. We just love collecting people. We'll be playing everything from poker to Smartass, some new game we just got that I'm really bad at, which I don't understand. My wife dominates.
I actually think you're pretty good at that, but
I thought so too, but we played like 8 games. I'm awful at it, and my kids laugh. But every game you can imagine, we'll be playing from spoons to, the dollar game, left, right, center, to poker, to bad jokes, bad movies, but a lot of good food. So come on over. I'm going to clean the keg box right now.
Nice.
Go get a keg for my buddy Chase.
By the way, left, right, center is possibly the greatest board game of all time.
I love that game.
Fantastic.
You know what? Our holidays, we always have a lot of people at our house, 30, 40 people. And, 3-year-olds play left, right, center with us. I know I should admit that on the radio right now because some people take great offense to it. But I remember 10 years ago, my mom and dad were here, and I can't believe you're letting your daughter play gambling games. It's not gambling. It's shifting of dollars. There's a big difference.
That's right.
It's not a game of risk. Gambling's risk. This is a game of skill.
Hey, real quick, Sean, I wanted to mention this because I'm excited. You've done this before, but on January 4th against the Calgary Flames, 90s night at Bridgestone Arena in honor of the 25th anniversary season. I always think it's fun when you guys do something like this.
I do too. The retro nights are fun. This one's a little bit more significant because obviously the team was launched in the 90s, 25th anniversary. So we're going to be able to have some fun with our own history, some of our alumni players, and it will be a good time. Maybe people will dress a little differently. I'm going to be honest, but I don't know what 90s dress is like. So I think I'm still wearing those clothes. So I guess it's, me on a Saturday. But it really is a fun night. And again, like I was saying earlier, we get to enjoy our own history now, and that's pretty cool. Celebrate our own players. And, of course, next year we open up the Golden Hall with David Poile as the first inductee. Where each year now we're going to be able to, induct, 1 to 20 people a year. Who knows what we're going to do. But it's fun when you really start talking about your own history and not, the other wonderful 100 years of the NHL. It's all about Smashville for us moving forward.
Yes, it is indeed. Happy New Year to you and your family, and we will see you at Bridgestone Arena in 2024.
All right, guys, either bring your favorite cocktail, alcoholic or non-alcoholic, or an appetizer to Sunday, right?
Okay.
We're there. Yeah,
we'll
thank
do
you.
it. We'll go
Happy
pick
New
up
Year,
some
guys.
pizza and show up.
Hey, one last thing. 23 was your first year on the radio together, right? That might be the most significant thing that happened in 2023.
Technically, yeah. I think we made a couple of guest appearances when I was a tot, but yeah, for all practical purposes.
Yeah,
well, happy anniversary to you two.
Thank you.
Hopefully
People
keep the band together in 2024.
People Magazine said it was a number 4 top moment in 2023. Chase and I getting back together again, so thank you.
Yeah, I was a little upset about that slight. number 4, whatever. I guess maybe, I don't know what they were thinking. Probably East Coast bias, right?
Yeah, absolutely it is.
100%.
All right,
Thanks,
guys.
Sean.
Happy New Year. And
Happy
thank
New
you for
Year.
everything.
Absolutely. Sean Henry, CEO of the Nashville Predators, joining us here on the program. We'll come back with more and maybe even throw a question of the day out there as well. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. I see what our man Connor Newt doing there. A little Brett the Hitman Hart, bringing us back on a Friday. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. You know, JoJo, I don't think you've gotten to work with Connor much, but he's doing something pretty cool tonight. Connor, what are you doing?
I'm going to Lexington. I'm a big Kentucky Wildcats fan, and I'm going to my first game ever in Rupp Arena.
That'll be fun.
I've
never been to Rupp.
They're playing Illinois State. I think it's their last non-conference game before SEC play starts.
Oh, nice.
Sweet.
You excited, Connor?
I am excited. Yeah, it's a big day.
Okay. All right.
It is a good day.
I hope you have a good time. That's awesome. I've never been to Rupp. That's definitely on. You know, we did the question a few weeks ago, Joe, of like places you want to go.
Yeah.
You know, venues. Rupp's definitely on my list because I've never been to a game there. So
I've been to one game there, and it's weird because back in 1985 they hosted the NCAA championship game there. That's when Villanova beat Georgetown, and a friend of mine went to that game. He sat in the last row, and I said, "How was it?" He said, "I talked to God the whole time." That's how high up he was. So have fun there. Chase, you ever been to a championship game in any sport?
Well, I mean, Stanley Cup final.
Okay, all right, well, that qualifies a lot of us then.
I've been to AFC championship game.
No, but like for the time, I mean, for everything. I should rephrase that, like for something like the NCAA championship game or the Super Bowl or
I've been to a World Series, 2 World Series games, and and a whole Stanley Cup. Well, the home games here.
Okay, yeah, all right, that makes sense then. Yeah,
So, I got how many would the Preds have played? 3 Stanley Cup games here.
yeah, that's right, because they went 2-1 here and lost Game 6 at home. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. That's correct. Yeah.
So World Series and Cup, never NBA, never Super Bowl. If you count racing, I've been to the championship race in Phoenix.
That counts. Yeah, good
so
for you.
I've been to that.
I went to when Tennessee beat Florida State in '98. I went to that game, and then I stood on the sidelines in the second half next to Kellen Winslow. And this is a true story. He got so annoyed with my questions that he moved. I mean, it's Kellen Winslow, right? So after the game, Mike Hill and myself, we carried him, former Channel 2 sports anchor now on Fox. We carried Kellen Winslow off the field like he did in that playoff game. And I got the picture somewhere. We carried him off, and he enjoyed that. But he was annoyed because of my hey, what about this? What about that? What about this? He's like, yeah, and he just kind of wandered off and left.
Like, leave me alone.
I was like, that's the story of my life right there.
Oh,
I kind of got
funny.
out of there. Yeah, so that's the good for you, Connor, man, heading up to Rupp today to watch Illinois State play Kentucky.
Yeah,
Hope
it'll
they
be a good
win.
time. That's awesome. Enjoy it. All right, you have a question of the day.
Well, it's just, and it's this all
Or a
this
topic.
It's this pickleball, and I'm not going to call it a cult, but you guys out there that a guy at the gym asked me, like, you play pickleball? I'm like, no. He's like, well, why not? I'm like, because I don't know why not. I mean, is everybody playing pickleball now? Am I missing this? I know it's been out for a while, but am I missing this?
So I heard about it like 2 or 3 years ago. I'll tell you, the first person that ever brought the sport of pickleball up to me was our friend Jill Jelnick
Okay.
from Fox 17. The first time I'd ever really heard of it, and didn't know what it was, that was almost 3 years ago. And now, it's a phenomenon. I mean, my mom wants to learn how to play.
It's crazy. I mean, there are these. I knew people were playing, but I had no. And he was telling me all the leagues around town and everybody playing this stuff. And then I asked people, like, then I go ask the people. No, I don't play. Who are these people playing pickleball?
Oh, there are a lot of people that play it. I mean, isn't it kind of like tennis meets ping pong, but it's like
Yeah, I mean, I played like a year ago. I played, and there was a tournament in town. And I got invited to play, and then I went, and I got a whole time I'm getting yelled at, like, get out of the kitchen. I'm like, what the hell is the kitchen? Nobody would explain to me what's going on. It was just like, what in the world is going on here?
Joe. I play pickleball at school.
Do you?
Yeah, it's fun.
What's the kitchen?
I don't know all the terms. I just go out and hit the ball.
Well, I could do that. I don't know.
Did you ever play tennis, Joe?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Tennis is great. Tennis is 1,000 times better than pickleball.
Well, I mean, isn't it kind of the same concept, though?
I
Or
guess
no?
maybe, I don't know, but this whole cult of pickleball people, when you tell them you don't play, they just get mad at you. It's like the people when you say you watch Yellowstone. I'm like, no, I haven't seen an episode. What do you mean? I haven't watched.
Right.
They get upset at you. I'm like, don't get upset. I'll eventually get around to playing pickleball. I just don't get the animosity when you tell somebody you don't play. They get all upset with you.
My friend is texting me. I would also like someone to explain the pickleball thing. It is a cult.
Thank you.
I mean, I just think it's one of those things that, like, it's probably been around for a really, really long time. And, you know, it's like Nashville and hot chicken. Now we're known for hot chicken, which I assume has been around. I mean, I know it's been around for a while, but now it's like, oh, you live in Nashville? Do you eat a lot of hot chicken? No, I don't. Like,
no.
it's a thing that y'all decided was going to be popular.
And that's another thing that I have people that come to town like, let's get hot chicken. I don't know why people, and then they'll eat the hot chicken and they get physically sick. I mean, they get ill. And I'm like, why do you torture yourself in eating? I don't understand that. I mean, is that the goal when you go out to eat, is eat the hottest chicken you can and get sick? And
see, and
no.
I don't like really, really spicy food because then I don't enjoy it. Like if my mouth and my stomach hurt, like there's no point. And that's what happens when I eat, you know, Atomic, whatever, ghost pepper. I mean, remember you and I did that hot chicken eating contest before one of the Music City Bowls.
7 years ago today we did that. It's on my
that was
Facebook.
7 years ago today.
Facebook
Wow.
memories, yeah.
And like you and I, it was you, me, Dave Foster from Fox 17,
Melanie Layden from Channel 4.
Melanie Layden from Channel 4, and then one other person that you worked with.
Yeah, maybe Daphne DeLorme or somebody like that.
Yeah.
And Melanie won. And
Melanie won.
Way to go.
But you and I remember at one point you and I looking at each other like with tears in our, like, streaming down our faces of like, what are we doing?
Yeah, I mean,
like, it
because
was not enjoyable.
It was so hot, we had to eat, and then I didn't see you for an hour and a half because I had to go sit in a creek because my stomach was hurting so bad from eating all that hot chicken. I'm like, I've never done that again. So for all of you who can eat the hottest of the hot chicken, God bless you. I wish I could, man, but I can't. I mean, it just tears me apart. And so for those who can do that and enjoy doing that, do it. But I just don't like when you go to see people to do that and they just start getting physically sick at dinner and they're sweating. And I'm like, why do you want to put yourself in that position to eat all that hot chicken and do that? I don't get it. Like the other night, I think they had a hot chicken eating contest for Auburn and Maryland, had one of the rib eating contests or hot chicken. And some of the pictures, I'm
now,
like,
ribs
why?
I'll do. I'll eat some ribs now.
I think it was a hot chicken, though, looking at it.
Yeah. Robbie Stanley just texted me on my personal text line.
Ooh.
When people ask me where the best place for hot chicken is, I say KFC with a bunch of pepper on it.
Oh, nice. Jameson on the text line has a chiropractor. Pickleballers have boosted my business since COVID, so I'm all for pickleball. Even though I don't play it, just go ahead and keep hurting yourselves. I guess. I mean, that's if you don't have the correct form and get out there and not in shape, I guess you can do all that. I'm just amazed. I knew it was popular, but then, when you get pickleball shamed, I guess the word is, for not doing that, it's like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'll get out there and do it. And then you go look at a pickleball racket, it's like $300. I'm like, yeah, that is a racket in itself to pay that much for a pickleball racket.
So I'll tell you, listeners may remember this. So probably 3-ish years ago, something like, well, maybe it could be longer than that. We're in Darren and I are in the studio getting ready for the show. Willie walks in a sling, and we're like, "What did you do?" And he like kind of hangs his head, and he goes, "Had a pickleball injury." And he went diving for a shot, trying to be a hero, and just like completely screwed up his shoulder.
Well, yeah, that's on him. Sorry, Willie.
Oh yeah, I know. We were like, Willie, you're like 50 years old, man. Don't be diving for for shots.
So here's what I want to know. All right, so I got a good friend who is a great tennis player who hates pickleball. If you like tennis, if you're a tennis player, do you hate pickleball? I genuinely want to know this. Because he can't stand. And the problem, he says, is two things, is that they're converting all these tennis courts around to pickleball courts, And so there's very little tennis courts around Middle Tennessee because they've all been taken over by pickleball. So if you're a tennis fan, do you like pickleball? Because the ones I talk to do not like pickleball at all. At all.
615-737-1025. That's our phone and text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We'll answer that and much more. Edward, hang on the line. We'll get to your call. Tune in to 93.3 Classic Hits tomorrow as MTSU men's basketball is back in action. The Blue Raiders are on the road facing Murray State with pregame beginning at 2:30. The tip at 3. Coverage also available on the 93.3 Classic Hits app and 93.3classichits.com. It's Chase and Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Connor in a wrestling mood. I support it for sure. Connor on the ones and twos. Asking about pickleball. My mother has texted in that all of her friends got rackets for Christmas, and they're all going to learn how to play, which...
Well, I'm good. That's good. Exercise
I hope that's a
is
good time.
Yeah. And now your mother's so sweet that I'm sure she let this music play out a little bit here.
Do you even know what this is?
No.
This is your era, Joe.
This is and a fellow bald man in Goldberg. Bill Goldberg played football
at Georgia.
He was at Georgia, Atlanta Falcons.
And Hayes, a former high school teammate of mine at Georgia, too, who ended up leaving school. Not because of that, but going to, he says Goldberg scared him to death.
You have a connection to literally everyone.
Can you imagine walking in there and seeing Goldberg and you're back, the mid-'80s, you could, hazing, air quotes, within realm, everybody did that. And so to go there and see Goldberg and be like, good Lord. And then see you.
Okay.
Chase, did you know there are only 18 minutes of action in an average Major League Baseball game?
No, I did not.
Did you know if Wayne Gretzky never scored a single goal, he would still be the NHL's all-time points leader with his assists alone?
I did know that.
Okay, making sure things.
Are these just random facts that you're reading off a calendar, or like what are these?
The Stanley Cup's real name isn't actually the Stanley Cup. Do you know that?
Yeah. What is it really called?
The Dominion Hockey Challenge Cup.
I
bet you Robbie Stanley didn't know that. All things
probably
hockey
didn't.
to do that. No, but good for your mom. Getting out there and her friends playing pickleball. I like it. Just your mom wouldn't shame me for not playing pickleball. Or like, why not?
She would not.
Jim Gaffigan, the comedian's got a joke about when people say, they'll go out and they'll do things and smile like, hey, you want to get something to drink? And somebody says, oh, I don't drink anymore. And they're like, well, why not? What happened? Why don't you do that anymore?
Right, yeah, like there doesn't always have to be a reason.
Right. He says they just get that tone in their voice and do things like that. So, no, but I just, my friends who play tennis are like, we don't like pickleball because, A, it's taking our tennis courts away from us. But whatever gets people out, moving around, I'm all for it, I guess.
Let's go to the phones. Edward, I guess, wants to weigh in on wrestling. He has a question. Edward, what's up?
Good morning, guys. Love the show.
Appreciate it.
My wife is obsessed with pickleball. Just paid $250 for a paddle. It's a cross between a wiffle ball and an oversized ping pong paddle. All right, and it's slow moving. I play it 2 or 3 times a year with her just so I'll stay married. But she's good at it. And if you ask a pickleball player to play singles, they won't do it. They have to play doubles. And Big Joe, the tennis players that I have played with in pickleball, they dominate it. They're good. The Von Erich movie, I don't know if y'all had a chance to see it. I had
Iron
low
Claw.
expectations. And, wow, a 9.8. What an awesome movie. Of course, there's a scene in there where one of the Von Erichs takes on the man, my man, the greatest wrestler of all time, 14-time world champion, woo! Ric Flair. And I'm going to tell you, it's a good movie. So I would go see it, Chase, if you're, I know you're big into wrestling. And it was very, very good. And it's a true story. The Von Erich family faced a lot of challenges in their life, from suicide, health issues, and dying overseas in a wrestling match. But, yeah, definitely worth going to see.
Was it
Thanks,
somebody?
guys.
Hey, hold on, before you go. Somebody said that the movie is great, but it's very hard to watch with all the internal struggles the family had. Is that true?
It cuts to the bone, I mean, it's real life. I'm not a huge wrestling fan, but I enjoyed it, and it does get personal. And sometimes people don't like looking in the mirror, I guess, and seeing episodes of maybe their own life. But yes, it's definitely worth going to see. And the kid, what's his name? Zach
Efron
or something
yeah.
like that. You would not recognize him. I mean, it looks like he's taking steroids. Huge. Absolutely huge. But anyway, FYI, guys.
Well, cool. Appreciate the call, Edward. Yeah, I definitely want to see it because I've heard good things about it, and that was also a good Ric Flair impression. So we always welcome Ric Flair impressions here on the program.
Absolutely, we do. Yeah. They were doing the night the hockey game. And it's just at some point that gets really annoying when people just keep doing it over and over and over and over again, like that in the concourse at the Bridgestone Arena. But hey, whatever people have fun with.
I mean, you obviously grew up in the '80s when Flair was at his peak. Did you pay attention or did you care?
A little bit. I mean, I'm a Hulk Hogan fan.
Okay.
I mean, growing up, and when I met Hulk Hogan at Gold's Gym in Madison in 1986 or 87. Still the biggest white man I've ever seen in my life. Now, Shaq's the biggest man ever I've ever met, but Hulk Hogan was just like, and Shaq was 2 times bigger than him, and Shaq was beyond nice. There's a reason Shaq is the greatest, because he's a good dude. But Hulk at the time was the biggest guy I'd ever seen in my life. He was just massive. And that's the height of his popularity, too, in 86 and 87. And, he did Rocky III as Thunder Lips, which is a great role. And then after that, his popularity just on and on. But, I knew Ric Flair, but Hulk was the man for me.
Yeah, very cool. He was for a lot of people. We'll have much more coming. Chris Sanders is going to join us at the bottom of the next hour at 10:30 to talk about the Titans and their matchup against the Texans, because, still got to play games, I guess. We'll do more in the second hour. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. Hour number 2, Chase and Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. He's Big Joe Dubin. I'm Chase McCabe. Nick Keyser, a.k.a. the birthday boy, on the ones and twos now as Connor heads to Lexington to go watch his beloved Wildcats at Rupp Arena. Keyser joins the show now. Happy birthday, Nick. How are you?
Thank you. I'm getting stared down by the great Joe Dubin.
I didn't know it was your birthday, Nick.
It is my birthday. It's also my mother's birthday as well.
Nice.
Oh, cool.
Yes.
Well, happy birthday, Mom.
Well, thank you guys. I appreciate it. Glad to be here with you. Haven't been on the midday in a long time.
What year were you born, Nick?
1998. The year of the Nashville Predators.
My Lord.
The year of the Vols.
That is true, too.
Yeah.
By the time you were welcome to the earth, already been divorced and bankrupt twice. So good to see you.
Man. Golly.
Good to see you, man. You give hope for the future, Nick Keyser.
Yes, you do. Well, I hope it's a good day. Speaking of the Vols, they're, of course, in action on New Year's Day in the Citrus Bowl, the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl. I don't know why we have to combine things, but whatever. Down in Orlando. I know Joe Rexrode's down there covering the Vols. Nico time in Tennessee. But before we get to that, the 4 games today are intriguing. And, Joe, you just got to just tell me who you think's going to win.
All right.
On these.
I love it.
Coming up in an hour from now in the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl down in Jacksonville, Clemson, the 22nd ranked team in the country, faces the Kentucky Wildcats.
That's our buddy Tim Hasselbeck's on the call of that game. And, you know, I picked these games on, do teams want to be there or not? Clemson is 8-4, Kentucky 7-5. I think Stoops does a good job, except for last year, of getting his team ready for bowl games. And because they lost their core. Will Levis-Step didn't play last year, right? Is that
He
right?
did not.
Yeah. So
No,
that
he was
really
just here.
And they had the young men from Spring Hill, the Wade brothers, that got in there, and it wasn't good. And they've now transferred out to Colorado. So who wants to be at the Gator Bowl more than anybody else? I'm going to say, gosh, I'm going to go with Kentucky on this one. They've played decent down the stretch, and I think Kentucky wins this one.
So I am with you. Clemson is a 3.5-point favorite, but I like Kentucky. I think that the wheels keep falling off for the Clemson Tigers, and the Wildcats get the dub today in Jacksonville. So we're on the same page there. At 1 o'clock on CBS,
CBS!
the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. These are the ones you like to pick. Notre Dame and Oregon State. This should be a fun one.
All right, here's again. I picked bowl games, the Sun Bowl. I tell you, for like 18 years in a row, I was great on the Sun Bowl because who wants to be there? I mean, do you think Notre Dame really wants to be in the Sun Bowl after playing the tough schedule they did and the aspirations and hopes of getting to the playoffs? No, they don't want to be there. Oregon State, another coach with the Michigan State. They've got an interim coach there that evidently the players love. They enjoy this interim coach. So I think Oregon State wants to be at the Sun Bowl, and they're going to play really hard. I think Notre Dame doesn't care.
Yeah, and Sam Hartman's not playing for Notre Dame. He's an opt-out. I agree. I like Oregon State. So, and shout out to our man Lance. You know, the Oregon State. He's an Oregon State guy.
He is.
So
Officially, yeah, he went there and everything. So he has the right to root for him.
And then down I-40 in Memphis. I would love to know how many times Memphis has actually played in the Liberty Bowl. I don't think it's a lot, but Memphis and Iowa State playing in the Liberty Bowl.
Again, does Memphis, I know that it's their home stadium, but do they want to be there? I mean, Iowa State had a kind of a rough year, and they traveled down. I think Memphis has a lot of speed. I think Memphis wins that game, and I think they – somebody don't come into my house and push us around and yada, yada, yada. So I think Memphis wins this one.
All right. I forgot we were supposed to do something at 10. That's okay. That's my bad. Missouri and Ohio State tonight in the Cotton Bowl.
Ooh, that's a good one. Didn't pop up on the ESPN schedule here for some reason. They just have 3 bowl games today. Good job there, ESPN, for that. Missouri and Ohio State, I'm going to go with Missouri, man. I think Missouri's got something to prove still because people are like, wow, they got lucky this year. Ohio State probably decimated after getting beat by Michigan, and didn't their quarterback leave too? So many kids are leaving.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So, again, I think Missouri, they'll travel really well down there. I think Missouri's a good football team. And people are like, well, they got lucky this year. No, they didn't. I saw them up close and personal, and I think they beat Ohio State. Now, I could go lose all these games. That's fine. But perception-wise, I think Missouri really wants to be there tonight.
I do too. I mean, this is the national championship for Missouri. I really believe that. And I'm with you. I just don't. Ohio State's quarterback's already transferred out. I don't think they care. So I like Missouri. The line's only 5 too. That's a tricky line.
What's the line for Auburn and Maryland? And and that's tomorrow for the TransPerfect Music City Bowl. And that's, by the way, pregame coverage Chase coming your way at noon with myself and Chris Sanders tomorrow from Nissan Stadium. Looking forward to that. But like Auburn, I mean, the last time we saw Auburn, they were doing what?
They were losing to Alabama in the Iron Bowl
on the just 4th and 31, whatever that was. So again, does Auburn? I mean, does that loss still hurt them? Maryland, from what I've gathered, Maryland's excited to be here. They are excited to be in Nashville to play this bowl game.
Is that Tua's brother?
It is.
That's the quarterback.
It is. It sure is.
I like Auburn. I like Auburn in that game. Auburn's a 6.5-point favorite. I think Hugh's going to have them ready. I think Hugh's going to have them fired up.
Okay. I hope that's wanted to be a good game. Are we doing post game tomorrow too? Should I know this?
You are. Yeah, you are. For like 30 minutes.
No, we're going to go a couple hours, man, because I got a lot to say tomorrow.
Yeah, well, you do that, and then the game I'm going to be at, the Peach Bowl, Ole Miss and Penn State down in Atlanta. Jimmy Frank and the Lane Kiffin, Penn State a 4.5-point favorite. I think that'll be a fun game. Both teams 10-2, very even matchup there. I'm excited about this.
Outside the Final Four, I think there's 2 bowl games I'm really looking forward to. That game right there, because I think these are 2 really good programs, really good coaches, and Ole Miss right now is ranked number 1 on the transfer portal list. All the guys they got coming in, so a lot of eyeballs will be on Ole Miss as well. And then, of course, Penn State, an iconic program, but it's an evenly matched football game, and I'm looking forward to watching that one. The other game, Chase, which is going on, which happens after your Peach Bowl, is this Orange Bowl game. I mean, just reading reports about
the both teams don't care bowl.
Yes, and about all the Florida State guys who, are disenfranchised, they're upset, and I get it all. And the Georgia guys, as well. I mean, there's not a lot of chatter coming out of there, so I'm looking forward to see what happens, because this could be a really bad, good bowl game, if that makes sense.
So if I was in that game, whether I was playing for Georgia or Florida State, all I would be doing for the last month is staring just at a poster or on a computer screen of the top 4 that doesn't have my team in it, and just getting incensed, and then basically, telling the other team, I'm about to come beat the ever-loving you-know-what out of you.
Well, here's the deal.
Like, I know you don't care, and I know it doesn't matter, but show some pride and just go out there. Like, both teams, the over-under in this game should be like 200, because both teams should want to put up as many points as possible.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, Georgia should have beat Alabama. I mean, so you only have to blame yourself. Kirby Smart said this on ESPN.com about Georgia has 0 players who've opted out. And Kirby says the leaders of the team spearheaded that. I stayed out of all of it. I met with each player who was draft eligible and the seniors. I was very honest. Then they had to make a decision with their family. But they want to go on top. They don't want the last Georgia outing to be the SEC championship. So all things on the Georgia side, that's very good. They've got a lot of injuries that are happening there. And, so he says the decision to play in the bowl game, all these players, was kind of contagious. And 1 or 2 of the top players said they're going to play. Everyone else got on board. I'd love to see that going forward. Guys, we're going to look. And again, we get it if you don't want to play in the bowl game. And that's fine, whatever. But if you can stay and finish it out with your teammates, that's fantastic. So I'm glad Georgia is doing that.
Real quick, we got Greg Wyshynski coming up next. But on Monday, obviously Tennessee, Iowa in the Citrus Bowl. Tennessee a 6-point favorite. I do like Tennessee there. I think Nico's going to show out. I think that this whole thing, the more that I've thought about it with Joe Milton, I have a feeling Josh Heupel told him either we're going to go with Nico or you guys are going to share the reps, and it was just like, okay, I'm out. And so now it's Nico time. It doesn't count against the red shirt. You can showcase him, and I feel like they're going to put up a lot of points. The over-under is only 35.5 because we know how Iowa likes to work. But
Right.
I think Nico will show out. Before that, Wisconsin LSU I think is intriguing down in Tampa. LSU a 10-point favorite.
Is
He got
Daniels playing in that game, or did he opt out?
I think he opted out. Yeah.
Okay.
Liberty in Oregon in the Fiesta Bowl at noon.
Let's go Liberty on that.
Let's go Liberty, but I mean, I think
Don't you start. I mean, that Liberty's a very good football program. That's a good football
who's the
team.
who took over as the coach?
Is it Chadwell, the coach
I think it was
from
Jamie
Coastal
Chadwell.
Carolina there? But go back to Nico real quick. I know we get the break, but I really hope he has an outstanding game against Iowa and puts up big numbers, just because from all accounts of talking to people up there, he's a really good dude and the team loves him. And I like to see him start his career off in Knoxville. You know, I know it's in Orlando, I get it, but his Tennessee career on a high note.
Yeah, I do too. We'll talk semifinal a little later on. But coming up next, usually he joins us on Thursdays. We'll talk to Greg Wyshynski, ESPN, get some thoughts around the National Hockey League with him. We'll do that next. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. Chasing Big Joe here on 102.5, 106.3, The Game. Let's talk some hockey with our man Greg Wyshynski, usually on Thursdays at 9:30, but moving to today. Greg, good morning. How are you?
Holiday schedules, man. You're all about everywhere, here and there. It's kind of crazy. So thanks for your flexibility.
Yeah, no problem. Appreciate it. Predators in action tonight in Detroit against the Red Wings, and obviously the old rivalry that used to be in the old Central Division, no more, but always fun when these two teams get together, and quite frankly, it's been rough going for the Detroit Red Wings as of late. 2-8-0 in their last 10. What is going on with them? They haven't been very good since Patrick Kane joined the team, even though he's been pretty good.
I was going to say, it's the curse of Patrick Kane. Clearly, they be careful what you wish for. The monkey's paw curled, and they ended up with Patrick Kane, and then they stopped winning games. Obviously part of it has been some devastating injuries to their goaltenders. I saw them play the Devils right before Christmas, and it was Michael Hutchinson playing in goal, who I believe was their fourth stringer, who they had just signed in kind of an emergency capacity earlier this season. So that's part of it. That interruption, obviously they dealt with the Perron suspension for a bit as well. It's also probably just a course correction too. I mean, Detroit was shot out of the chute so fast and had so much early season success that it was bound to kind of, regress to the mean at some point. It just so happens to have done so right as they add Patrick Kane to their lineup. And like you said, he's looked good. I mean, I don't think defensively anybody's looking for him to be Patrice Bergeron out there or Ryan O'Reilly out there. But offensively, he's certainly added something to that group, especially on their top line.
You use the phrase course correction, and I like that. And, watching the Predators right now, they've lost 2 in a row, but we've seen some good, we've seen some bad, we've seen some, just kind of okay with them. Do you feel like, as you watch them, that's what they are, and that's probably what they're going to be as the season goes on? Maybe good enough to get into the playoffs, but still have some things to do, moving into a true cup contender.
Yeah, no, I think that's entirely accurate. And I think if anything, if they do make the playoffs this year, there'll probably be some people that see them as being a little bit ahead of schedule based on the youth on the roster and the expectations heading into the season. But, you look at their last couple of games, and obviously you don't like to drop games at home, but that Carolina game, I mean, they put 37 shots on the Hurricanes and then didn't come away with many goals. So, they're still getting their chances, and sometimes it's just kind of luck plays a role in some of these things. Hot goalies play a role in some of these things. The offense is from a production standpoint a little drier right now than you'd like it to be, especially based on what they were doing about a month ago. So hopefully they can turn that around.
Greg, in your many travels around, what's the one team that universally is disliked at this current moment by all hockey fans?
Well, it's always the Maple Leafs, right? It's like perpetually the Maple Leafs, just because of the disproportionate amount of coverage they get in Canada based on how good they've been and what they've actually accomplished. And, the idea that they win a playoff round last year and then, all that drama happens. So I think they're probably top of the list. But again, like the concept of hate in this league has really been redefined. You know what I mean? I mean, I think, for example, there's definitely still heat on the Chicago Blackhawks for everything that happened off the ice. But now they got Bedard, and Bedard's like one of the more popular players in this league right now. The intensity, the brutality that we've seen in the past, like the animosity between fan bases, it's dissipated a little bit just because the game has changed a little bit. But there are certainly teams that I think people actively hope don't win.
In my hockey circle, which isn't large, almost everyone cannot stand Vegas because how they came into the league and kind of got, no other expansion team got what they got coming forward. So do you hear a lot about them or no?
There's a bit of that. I mean, they've always been swaggery. There is a little bit of jealousy in the sense that they've been able to, they had the rules, like you said, altered when they came in that gave them a pretty good starting point. I mean, my God, they made the Cup final in their first season. And then they've also been able to try, improve this team incrementally with some really big signings. And they've been able to do so sometimes with the benefit of long-term injured reserve during the season, which people aren't usually a fan of. But then on top of that, and I wrote about this after they won the Cup, there's also kind of been a backlash against Vegas for how they've treated people. I mean, the Marc-Andre Fleury saga in Vegas where, his agent is tweeting pictures of Fleury with a sword in his back because of how he was treated by the organization. People don't forget that. And when they won the Cup, it was the whole point of my sort of end of season essay on ESPN.com about it was very much like, at what cost? At what cost? How many morals did you have to check? How many relationships did you have to damage in order to get where you were going? And was it all worth it? So that's a good call on your part. I think Vegas is probably up there insofar as teams that there's some people have some animosity for, not only because of the advantages they were given, but also because of just how they are.
You'll always hear this in football. Like, in the NFL's better when the Raiders and Steelers are good and all the things like that. What team in the NHL would you like to see, just kind of, I know you're not a particular favorite of a single team, but would you like to see, really have a good year that would be good for hockey overall?
Well, I'm hugely in the bag for the Devils. I'm from Jersey. I've always been outward with my Devils fandom. I just took my kid to two games back-to-back recently in Jersey, so I make no bones about that. And actually, in my time doing this job, like when I first came up, it was not something you talked about. You're trying to be like all on the up and up and make it seem like you're a fan of every team or something. I think the world's gotten safer to be a little bit more honest with your fandom. So I'm definitely a Devils fan, and everybody kind of is aware of it. But as far as like is there that team? Is there the Dallas Cowboys, for example, of if this team is good, then the whole NHL is better. Chicago is probably one of them, if only because the West needs that kind of team. Like in the East, you can have a strong Boston team, a strong Pittsburgh team, a strong Philly team, the Rangers, and you can have that team be one that you can throw on television and get some ratings and that kind of thing. But in the West, you do need the Blackhawks to be strong as an original six team, as one of the bigger media markets in the West. So when you pair them with Nashville, when you pair them with some of those West Coast teams, it kind of becomes more of a spectacle than it would be otherwise. So if there is a franchise that you could say, okay, when they're good, things are better, it might be the Blackhawks. And I think that the last 15 years of this league probably show that to be true as well, with how much hockey grew around that sort of dynasty that Kane and Taves put together.
Greg Wyshynski is with us from ESPN. All right, so the division leaders as of right now, Boston, the Rangers, Avalanche, Canucks. Of those four teams, who do you give the edge to be a true Stanley Cup contender?
I mean, the Rangers look really good. And again, as a Devil fan, it pains me to say that. But they look real good. They've got some flaws at 5-on-5. The fact that they were able to put so many wins together early this season without Igor Shesterkin really being on his game was very impressive. They get scoring throughout their lineup. They're a good team. And the other thing I like about the Rangers, and obviously Coach Peter Laviolette, who you guys know well, has certainly put his mark on that team to get them playing faster and playing a little bit more physically. But the thing I really like about them is the fact that they've been together for so long. Like, this is the same group that's been together for a few years now, this core of players, Kreider and Zibanejad and Fox and all these guys. So there's a familiarity there. They've added some pieces that have made them a little bit better. They'll probably add more at the trade deadline like they did last year. And so they're a real contender, I think, for the Cup this year if they keep playing the way that they've played for the first 3 seasons, 3 months rather.
Going to be fun for sure. Also got the Winter Classic coming up on New Year's Day between Seattle and Vegas, which is going to be cool. Don't get me wrong, it's going to be cool, but it's classic, and now you got the 2 expansion teams playing. But that's just me.
I like it when they change it up. I like when you had the Cotton Bowl game, for example, and threw in some quote unquote non-traditional teams there. And
we like that for sure.
I know what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly. So I mean, there's some benefit to going outside the box and not just having it be Philly and Boston every year, and Pittsburgh every year. But I have a piece up on ESPN about the first Winter Classic. I look back on it. It's been 15 years, my God, since the first Winter Classic, and I talked to Sidney Crosby. I talked to some people that were helped organize it. It is kind of amazing, one, that game happened because there were so many challenges in front of the NHL and at the time NBC to make the game happen. But two, and Sid talked about this too, the fact that it just launched this incredible franchise of outdoor games, be it the Winter Classic, be it the Stadium Series, the games on Lake Tahoe. I mean, it's amazing to think about how much they've done since then. How much of it has worked and also how much money they've made doing it.
Yeah.
They've made a lot of money putting games outdoors. That's for sure.
Check that out on ESPN.com for sure. Greg, appreciate it as always. Happy New Year to you, and we will talk to you in 2024.
Yeah, Happy New Year, everybody. Take care.
Absolutely. Greg Wyshynski, ESPN, joining us here on the program. We'll get into some football with our man Chris Sanders. Coming up next, Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. Dang it. I forgot.
Hey, friends, listen to me real quick. I want to tell you about and say goodbye to all those high medical bills. When you use Medical House Calls, you don't have to worry about hidden fees or surprise charges. Medical House Calls is revolutionizing how patient care is getting done. Patients pay one flat fee no matter the treatment, making Medical House Calls more affordable than the average urgent care and emergency room. Also, we're in the middle of the cold and flu season. You can get tested and treated without leaving your home. You don't have to drive cross town to your doctor's office or go to an urgent care. Their mobile medical services are here to make your health a top priority. Visit medicalhousecalls.com and see what everybody is talking about. In fact, Chuck McDowell loved the treatment he received. He bought the company. Medicalhousecalls.com, where the nearest clinic is your home.
Always, Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. Our man Chris Sanders joining us here on the program. Forever Titans wide receiver. He'll also be joining Big Joe tomorrow before the TransPerfect Music City Bowl from noon to 1.
Oh, yeah.
The official
you just now,
pregame show.
Come on. You're just now remembering it?
Yeah, I know. Come on, that's a big deal, man. Auburn,
He's already
and
done.
Maryland,
He's
let's go.
already got his notes. He's ready to go.
I got a special guest for us too tomorrow.
Who? Big Shirley?
No, Dave Craig. He's going to come on before the
hey, I'm gonna tell you once again. I'm gonna let the listener know that guy he looked the worst in his uniform, man. It's just if they have a picture of not to look like his uniform, he will be the number one contender, 100%.
Chris, the Titans taking on the Texans coming up this weekend. They'll head to Houston with the matchup against them. I'm gonna just be completely honest with you. I don't care. Like I mean, I'm sure I'll tune in.
Yeah.
I'll obviously keep up with it to talk about them. But these next two games, you're looking to the future. So if I'm losing interest and I don't care, how do the players in the locker room kind of keep that interest going?
I think that's a little different because I've been in their shoes before. I think in 1995 when I was playing with the Houston Oilers/Tennessee Titans, we were playing the Buffalo Bills, and we wasn't going to the playoffs. Our season was basically over. But it goes back to, do you love football? I know a lot of people on air, or a lot of players that come on the air talk about that. And I remember I was doing a speaking engagement with Chris Hope, and he said this, and it's really stuck in my mind. He said, "Why would you work all your life to get to the NFL and stop working? So why would you get to a situation to where you're in the game, to where you're not going to the playoffs, everybody's mad at you, and you stop working and stop doing your job?" So, that would be my motivation. That would, help me to, even though we're not going to the playoffs, I just love football, and I'm going to keep working hard to the end.
Yeah, I get that. I do. If Will Levis,
it's hard though.
Sure. If Will Levis plays, which I think he's going to,
yeah.
What are you looking at from him in the next two games?
I'm watching to see how he responds, because, he's going to get hit a lot and he's going to, make some bad choices, and he knows that he's going down to the playoffs. I want to watch how he leads. Can you lead in adversity? Can you lead when things are not going well? And this is a great opportunity to show your owner, to show your offensive coordinator, to show your head coach that I'm the guy. You go out there and you beat the brakes off of the Texans, and then you go to next week and beat the Jaguars. That puts a taste in the fans' mouth to say, you know what? Even though we're not going to the playoffs, even though this wasn't a good season, our leader showed us how to do it when we win and actually when we lose.
We're talking to our best friend, Chris Sanders.
Hey, I'm best friend now. What you said?
We are on doing that down there. Look, we were talking earlier about Joe Flacco, who's got 13 touchdown passes in like 4 games.
Jeez.
And I was watching, Chris, and I don't know why more teams don't do this, and you were the benefit, you on the winning end of this, because you did go routes. Why do not more teams run go routes and just throw the ball deep and see what happens? Right?
But see, you could do it. You can throw a lot of go routes, but also you're going to have a guy that has a lot of speed that can get off the press. But then when you start doing that, you got to know that the coverage is going to, go over top. When I say a 2 safety high, they're in half. So you just got to understand what the defense is giving you. But if I'm a quarterback and I'm an offensive coordinator and I find out what the base defense of the defense that they're playing, then I know that if I line up in this formation, they're going to give us this type of coverage. And if they give us that type of coverage, then I can throw it deep. And I'm going to give you a perfect example. If you look at the Falcons game, when the Tennessee Titans played them, the reason why they threw the ball downfield is because they were in a base cover 0 or cover 1. Cover 1 is 1 safety high. Cover 0 is man-to-man across the board. So now when you have a situation like that, it's an easier read to say, you know what, I can just go through my progression, 1, 2, 3, 3-step drop, and throw it up and let your receivers make the play. And that's exactly what happened with Hopkins when they played against the Falcons.
Exactly what happened. That's why you watch Amari Cooper last week when the Browns played the Texans. Just, it's one-on-one battle, and hopefully your receiver can come down with it. And Flacco was throwing these just bombs deep down the field. And I don't see – there's a lot of teams, probably 3/4 in the NFL, don't do this, and it drives me crazy.
Yeah, but see, the thing about it is you got to have – a guy in the perimeter that can make those plays, and also, just like I said, the defense. Let me give you an example. My rookie season, I played with Haywood Jeffries and some other guys that were really notable in the league. So now we play against the Cincinnati Bengals, and they play cover 1. They have a corner of me, and his name was, I can't remember his name, but he was a real slow corner. So as he was out there, I'm looking at my chest. I'm like, this dude has the audacity to come up and press me, got him off the press, touchdown. Then we came back another series. He pressed me again. Are you serious? Threw the ball down the field, touchdown. But if you can get in that opportunity to where the defense allows you to throw it deep, then I think that the offensive coordinator need to take more shots down the field.
Chris Sanders is with us. All right, let's switch gears. Let's talk some college football with you. We don't
my
get to do
God.
that a lot here on the program. We got the semifinals coming up on Monday. Alabama and Michigan, that the team up north, as you would refer to them as. What do you think about that one?
I think Alabama's going to beat the dog snot out of them. And, the reason why I say that is because if you look at, Michigan overall, they're a team that tries to hit you with a lot of power. They plays a 22 personnel, 2 backs, 2 tights, and 1 wide receiver, and they try to beat you with power. But if you look at Alabama, they're going to kill you with speed in places where, Michigan that doesn't have speed. Their edge rushers are running 4.5. You got linebackers that are running 4.4. They have that speed. So I just don't think that the Michigan Wolverines – or that team up north or Michigan, they just don't have the speed to match up with Alabama. And then also you got Nick Saban that wants to prove to everybody that this is not by luck that we're here. We're supposed to be here. And I think that they're going to beat Michigan by at least 25 points.
And then you got Texas and Washington. And I've been all in on Texas because I really want to see Alabama-Texas, the rematch.
Ooh.
But I do feel like people, including myself, are overlooking Washington.
I'm not overlooking Washington, but I just like the physicality of the Texas Longhorns. I mean, those dudes are physical. They got speed. They got some running backs that can, hit the hole and take the difference. But the one thing I also love about the Texas team is they're playing with a lot of confidence. I mean, they're physical on offense, they're physical on defense. They just want to punish you. And then you got Washington that's more, they're physical in some areas, but they're more a finesse team. They're going to spread you out, go empty, and, one back set and all those things, and they're going to try to beat you in the air. But when you got a Texas team, the guys are coming off the edge, hitting you in the mouth. You got a secondary that's physical. You got some corners that's going to jam you in your mustache. I just think that the Washington can't, withstand that pain.
All right, Chris, tomorrow you and I, starting at noon over at Nissan Stadium.
What you said?
It's you and I. So we're going to have a good time tomorrow with the pregame.
That sounds like a song, You and I. You and I. Come on.
And I know there's something special going to happen. They're going to be honoring your former teammate, Frank Wycheck, who passed away. So it'll be an emotional, fun moment. And I didn't know this. I found out that Frank's daughter went to Auburn. So Frank's alma mater is Maryland. Frank's daughter went to Auburn.
I think that's a cool little deal, and that's a good gesture for the committee to come up and do that for Wycheck. But it just shows you, man, that's what makes this Music City Bowl so special with things like this.
Amen. I will see you tomorrow, brother.
Man, love you guys so much. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you. Happy New Year, Chris.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye.
Chris Sanders, Forever Titans wide receiver, joining us here on the program. Always appreciate that. Coming up next, we'll give our final thoughts on the semifinals plus celebrity birthdays. But right now, caller number 4, in honor of 2024, will win a pair of tickets on January 4 to see Bridgestone Arena to see the Predators take on the Calgary Flames. 90s night, caller number 4, 615-737-1025. You can win those tickets. Celebrity birthdays coming up next. Chase and Big Joe, 1025-1063, the game. It is Chase and Big Joe, presented by Regal Realty Group, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Nick Keyser with us today on the ones and twos on his birthday. National championship semifinal, or the national semifinal this week to set the national championship. That'll be on Monday, and of course you can hear it on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. We got a full day of bowl games on New Year's Day, starting with the Citrus Bowl between Tennessee and Iowa at 11:30, and then it'll be the Rose Bowl with Alabama and Michigan, and the Sugar Bowl between Texas and Washington, wrapping it up later in the day. So really looking forward to that, as I think it should be some competitive matchups. That is for sure. What do you think, Joe? How's it all going to shake out with the semifinal?
Give me we've talked about this for 2 months now. Alabama, we knew they'd get there somehow, some way, because we firmly believe this is Saban's farewell. I mean, they win, he's goodbye, everybody. And so I think they're focused. I think they'll beat Michigan. I think just a better team. Milrose playing great. Other side, I think it's Texas over nobody is picking Washington at all.
No.
Nobody. So I think Texas gets that. Then the big game, Texas and Alabama, and that game will be played down in Houston, if I recall correctly, for the national championship. So we'll figure that out when if they get there. But I think Alabama and Texas roll on Monday.
Yeah, I will agree with you on that. And the thing on Washington, that I have been pretty hard on the Pac-12 that is soon to be no longer existing. But that I believe that just the schedule with what Texas has played, what Alabama's played, even to an extent what Michigan's played in the Big Ten, they're outmatched. But at the same time, they're still 13-0, so you got to give them some credit there. I feel like there is a chance that even though they might be overlooked to an extent, that they could also end up being TCU last year. But TCU did beat Michigan to get to the championship game, and then just got throttled by Georgia.
Yep, they did. So, Washington and Michigan who knows, right? That's why you play the games now, and I get it.
Sure.
So we'll see what goes on. But I think for sure Alabama, I mean, they're just – I'll be shocked if Alabama loses on Monday.
I think America wants Alabama, Texas. I think that the rematch, and then, Sarkisian, a former assistant to Saban – Saban once again in a national championship. Texas returns to a championship game, which I guess would have been the first time since the Rose Bowl in 03, right?
Rose Bowl is 05. They played the national championship
05,
in 09 versus Alabama, and Alabama beat them. That's the game where
they sure did. You're right.
Colt McCoy hurt his shoulder on the second play of the game and was out, and
I forgot all about that one.
Yep, McElroy and Mark Ingram rolled down the stretch, and that was Saban's first national championship at Alabama. Was that Rose Bowl game?
Well done. You're right. You cannot get that past you. But it'll be interesting to see it all shake out, and then Tennessee, what they do earlier in the day, LSU, Wisconsin, and then of course the TransPerfect Music City Bowl tomorrow at Nissan Stadium between Auburn and Maryland. Going to be a fun football weekend. I'm excited about the Cowboys and Lions Saturday night as well, so I think that'll be a fun matchup.
That's just football, and I love it.
That is correct. All right, without further ado, I guess the birthday boy gets to play Celebrity Birthdays.
Oh, he
today.
does.
Celebrity Birthdays, Zach Pillar's Instagram account, Zach Pillar Design 69. Give it a follow.
All right, here we go. First birthday. You ready, Dr. Crane? Chase goes first.
That's
you go
not
second.
Dr. Crane. That's Dr. Keyser.
Dr. Keyser.
It's okay. He can call me Dr. Crane for one day, I guess.
Oh, my goodness. Sorry. All right. First birthday, John Voight. How old is John Voight today?
Go ahead, Chase.
John Voight, 73.
62.
85.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
By the way, who is John Voight's daughter?
Angelina Jolie.
Attaboy. Actor Ted Danson. Sam Malone from Cheers. How old's Ted Danson?
I'm going to say about 73.
76.
76 exactly.
Go.
Nice.
Dr. Keyser. I gave Dr. Keyser a nickname earlier, Chase, and I cannot repeat on air.
Uh-oh.
I don't know. Patricia Clarkson. I don't know who this is, but she's an actress.
I think I know who that is. I'm going to look it up after I give the guess. Patricia Clarkson, 63.
I'll go 58.
64, tied at 1. Good job. Next up is Jude Law. Doesn't he play Obi-Wan in those goofy Star Wars movies?
No, it's not Jude Law.
Oh, that's that other guy.
Yeah.
Ewan McGregor.
There we
Yeah,
go. Thank
yeah.
you. Jude Law. How old is Jude Law?
Jude Law. Does he play Obi-Wan?
Sorry, man.
52.
61.
51. Chaser is killing it so far today.
2-1.
Actor Mickey Pfeiffer. Was it Mikey Pfeiffer? He was in ER. He was good. He's a good actor.
So good you can't remember how to pronounce his name.
He was in the program. Wasn't he in the program, the movie? I think he was.
I don't know. He's not on this program. 59.
61.
49. Oh, good. Actor Diego Luna.
I don't know who that is.
He's in the HBO show where everybody's dead and there's like 4 people left on the planet.
Oh,
I got to start watching more TV.
you do.
And stop doing Instagram reels.
47.
Oh, he's the Mandalorian, isn't he?
What's his name again?
Diego Luna?
No,
God,
that's not him.
we don't know anything.
That's
on this
Pedro.
show.
That's Pedro Pascal, I think.
Just get us off. Get to me the next year, man. How old?
45.
He's 44. All right, tied 2-2. Oh, I just need to give the name and that's it. Don't go anywhere. Okay, here we go.
I don't have a choice.
Singer Marianne Faithfull.
Well, I'm glad she's faithful.
Bad joke.
Yeah, I know. I'm
Yes.
sorry. I'll leave the jokes to Joe.
Don't.
I don't even know who this is, so 55.
61.
77. Comedian
All right.
Paula Poundstone.
I know who that is. 70.
65.
64. Keezer's up 3-2. Actor Michael Cudlitz. He was in The Walking Dead. He also was Brenda Walsh's prom date on 90210.
58.
54.
59. Chase up 3-2.
It's tied at 3.
I know. Is it tied at 3?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is tied at 3. Thank you so much there. I'm trying to do everything here. And
You
I
were
can't do it.
scatterbrained today.
I am. It's the weekend. The weekend. Here, me get one more. This will be the. This is the winner here. You guys ready? Let me find a good one for you. News anchor Ashley Banfield.
Where would I know them
She's
from?
on like some TV. Oh gosh, she was on CNN for many years and MSNBC.
64.
68.
56. One more before we go. Country singer Jessica Andrews.
39.
35.
Chaser gets it. She's 40. Good
Wow.
job,
Woo!
Chase.
There you go.
Hit
Proud
the
of you,
buzzer.
man.
Keezer, happy birthday, sir.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate that very much.
Good to
Should be a
have
fun
you
one.
on. Hey, have a happy and safe new year, everybody. Just enjoy the end of 2023 and go into 2024 safe and happy. And Joe, as we always do.
Yeah, listen to our guys out here. You made it through the holidays, man. You made it. I know you're still struggling. Some things are going tough in your life, but listen, we need you here. If you're struggling to talk to somebody, call 988, please, on your cell phone, 988. As we say every day, our world is a better place because you are here. You are irreplaceable, and we love you. And we'll see you next year.
That is right. Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace next. 102.5, 106.3, The Game.